Yeah, we don't have local recording. Okay, so we're
That's
we're
not a
live.
thing that we're doing. Yeah, we are live.
No, I pushed out. So we did record the last session that we did together separately,
Hmm?
and I wanted to push the video out, but I just like it went up on Friday and I pushed it up on Monday, so it kind of went up right before your show came up. But I felt
That's
like it was
fine.
much better. It is a much better audio quality than what we got from the live stream. Although we
Oh
did
yeah,
actually have the live stream was not that bad this time.
it was pretty good.
We kind of
Yeah,
edged out pretty decently. Hey, we're live.
we
Enough
are live.
bantering
Hey
back and
everybody,
forth.
welcome to another episode of Best of Our Week, where we two old cranky tech nerds talk about the best tech of our week.
Yay.
I'm Juan
No,
Carlos Bagnell. tkbay is riding alongside. We're doing it live.
we're
I'm
doing it
actually
live,
trying to
buddy.
get social media posts out still because we usually do these Thursday evenings, and I am
Yeah.
way off my game right now.
So I did tweet. So it has been tweeted out of both the best of our week, the Android Bay, and myself. So I retweeted and so on. So for everybody in the chat, thank you very much for joining us. I see Barry hanging out with us as well. He was with me on my. I did a premiere on the Rode video like about maybe an hour or so ago. So thank you for hanging out with us, sir. I see Brian in there, Umar's in there, David Burns, El Josa's in there, and if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw if it was sorry, the Tech Boy is in there as well, kicking it with us on this beautiful Friday morning while we are still dry, but absolutely freezing our butts off type of a weather. So we go from really hot to really cold, and that's literally the
And
gamut of what
everything
we
in
do.
between, and just slingshot back and forth. Although Lex was maybe the most adorable she's been ever, because we
Hmm.
walk outside yesterday morning and everything is
Yesterday was really
frosted
cold.
over,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like,
Yesterday was super cold.
oh, it's as close as we'll get to snow. Like, wow, kiddo,
I,
that's
I don't.
adorable.
I was gonna say you could also take that as the other way of saying it's like, Dad, where's the real snow?
Oh,
You're. I would
I
have
was
taken it
hoping for
like,
a Merry Christmas.
you know what? It
Oh.
could still happen. I will say one of the beautiful things about Southern California is that we are literally about a few hours away from snow. So it's not impossible that on, Christmas Day or something, around the holiday that you'd be able to go and get like a nice snowed in type of an experience if you'd like to. Although, you know,
Could make it happen. I
we
really
do.
want to try, especially maybe for next year, because man, I just been swamped this year.
Oh yeah.
Of trying to get the whole family up to maybe just go spend a week in a cabin.
I
Just something
absolutely.
we can kind of unplug for a little bit, play some board games, and have a nice
Lake
cozy
Lake
time.
Arrowhead, Big Bear, tons of places we have here,
Right?
and they're considerably
Make it work.
local. You don't have to go anywhere outside of even the state to get that experience, or even that much further north, like Heavenly or anything like that. We used to do Heavenly as a family. We used to do that before CES, as we go there and take Omar and Vanya. But for the last few years, obviously with the pandemic and everything, we haven't, and we haven't actually thought about bringing it back up this year. Although we are going, I will be going to CES, and they're coming with me for a few days. We're only doing like 3 days this time. Very short, very specific, not long stays.
Nice.
Just get in,
Hey,
get it done.
guess what? I booked work, so I'm not going to CES.
You made money.
I,
I'm
I
no.
did it
You're
again.
you're in a better spot than I am because I'm not being paid for this. This is me wanting to have fun with the family,
But
but also doing
so
work.
I mean, not to air all of our dirty laundry and stuff, but now that you've locked that in, I'm sure if you reached out to some of our sort of partnering companies in the past, that maybe some of that could be subsidized.
I'm gonna try. I'm seriously. I mean,
It's
I'm gonna
worth the
reach out. There's
effort.
a few companies that I know for sure that are gonna be there. Most of the companies that we typically like haven't been able to show up like last year or the year before are going to be there. For me, it's primarily it's weird. Like I go to CES, but not necessarily for CES. I actually go for the other things that happen. So typically, most media and most whenever content creators that get to go to CES, they typically go a couple of days ahead of time because there's so many events going on
That's
for
really
media.
when everything goes down,
Yeah,
though.
and that's for me really what I when I say I'm going to CES, that's what I'm saying. I will say that I typically do on day one. I'll just do a walk around the main hall, maybe a couple of north and south hall if they open all of them. January last this year, keep thinking last year, um, was a very weird experience. Right, CES as a whole was more of a skeleton crew, very small, a lot of companies didn't show up. We're expecting this year to be the return to pre-pandemic experience. So yeah, I'll typically do a walk for some of the other companies that I typically love to be able to go check out their booths and so on. And then literally, yeah, the day one of CES is when I'm jetting out. I'm not even staying for any of the other days.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the stuff, like I said, yeah, showstoppers, pepcoms, all the other shows that we typically hit up.
That's the biggie. And
Yeah,
and it's so much easier to kind of cover the show that way and then just get some
micro
B-roll from the
experience.
main hall.
Exactly. And you get to talk to the people as opposed to being,
Yeah.
fighting with everybody else standing in line trying to kind of like,
I
hey, can I get in?
appreciate the challenge that those companies have in
Hmm.
getting people sort of exposed to their products, but a lot of the booth tours now are, I mean, this could have been an email. You've taken up so much time in my day. I've got to walk around your booth and you're just reading off like a
It's
script
a
and I
preset,
can't
yeah,
really
preset
ask.
script. Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, increasingly, especially from years past, because yeah, this will be the fourth CES in a row that I'm not going to.
I seriously I am missing. Don't get me wrong. The last couple of obviously there's a few you could actually definitely go again. I miss just the duo thing. So I'm waiting for that opportunity one of these days when we can do like when we went to the TCL thing together. That was fun.
Yeah.
The team was out there. I like to call it team. I don't know. We got to come up with a name for the team. I was going to call it team
The crew.
the crew. Yeah, the crew with the do one. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know why I said the do, but either way, I love doing those type of events. And we
Yeah,
haven't
that's
had a
good.
chance to hang out. I mean, obviously last Friday we hung out, but like at an event or something like that. So we'll see how that goes. But with that being said, again, literally less than a month away. I know it's crazy to say that we're like a few days left in December in 2022 and 2023
Oh,
is edging at us.
geez.
And
Why you gotta say it
and
like that? I feel attacked now.
well, I'm trying to actually land a massive transition from like a 20 minutes ago into the fact that you're looking at 2023 tech right now, my buddy.
I am.
See
How
that
did you know? You're like a prognosticator.
I am subscribed to a very very special feed that only
Come
comes
on,
to Patreon
focus.
supporters, but not apparently to
Focus.
Nvidia the camera. Oh,
There
here
we
you are.
go.
6 hours later. I'm just kidding.
So this is the IQOO 11.
Hold on,
It has just been announced. It's just been released. There we go.
internet.
It's blocking
Exactly.
my face. I've
Yes.
got the white faux leather back with the BMW M
Stripes.
Motorsport racing stripes, triple
It's
camera array, V2 coprocessor,
right there,
and
V2,
this
right
is
there, smack dab on
yep.
the side on the
Let
panel.
me
It
see
says
if I can get
V2.
it. It's reflected in my lights right now. But
We
yes,
trust you. We trust that that's the V2.
this is the new mainstream sort of mainstream premium. I'm getting increasingly, angsty about how we tier phones
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I go by price, and a lot of people will try and conflate the word flagship to mean everything.
Mm-hmm.
This is a flagship phone, but it's the flagship phone from a budget brand. But it's the budget brand's flagship, and you're like, oh god, just shut up, stop using the word flagship, please. Um, this is going to be a premium tier offering, and it
Yeah,
kind of steps up from phones like the 9T, the IQOO 9T, and the OnePlus 10T. So T series
yeah,
phones can sometimes feel a little flagship killery. It's
yeah.
more a focus on higher performance, and sometimes you whittle back like camera features or build quality or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. It's a balance for performance.
Absolutely.
This is a little bit more like the 9T than it is something like the 9 Pro,
Okay.
but it's an IQOO 9T built better, if that makes sense.
Well,
So
yeah.
first and foremost is just the display, and I think a lot of people will be happy with this display making its way into more of these sort of like upper mid-range, lower
Mm-hmm.
premium tier phones,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
this is the new E6 2K super fancy AMOLED. It's one of the newest and the most expensive panels available.
Well, 144 as well, right? It's jumping into the
Well,
next level of yeah.
getting into the actual specs, yes. But before we get into all the actual specs, like a lot of the T series and sort of lower premium tier phones,
Mm-hmm.
totally flat front face. So it's not curved glass to the sides. I
That's
think a
like
lot of people will
okay.
like that.
That a lot of people do, and a lot of people don't. Like every time I put one video on one or the other, there's always the other camp that I was like, but I
Yeah.
prefer the other. I'm with you.
I kind of feel, I mean, it's fine to have preferences, but I kind of feel like the people who genuinely like curved glass screens are objectively wrong. I like a lot of phones despite the fact that they have curved glass screens. This makes me happy that it's flat front face. But
On that
unlike
note, I
those
dropped
other,
out, but yes, keep going.
yeah, just like, I
Yeah.
will not sit here for this
None of
mockery
this
of what I
shenanigans.
like.
Exactly. I'm not. I'm
So
not doing that kind of show today. No, just kidding.
again, now it's like a TK feels attacked. But I thought you were like, oh man, TK's just letting me have the whole screen here so I can show off
No,
this phone.
I was like, no,
So
no, no. I was
but
kidding.
it's flat front face. Unlike a OnePlus 10T though, this is a 1440p panel. So it is a proper 2K
So
screen,
he's
not a
referencing
1080p
obviously
screen.
this guy, the 10T
Yeah, the
from
OnePlus
OnePlus.
10T.
Exactly, which
So
is also flat,
the
but not.
IQOO 90 is a cousin of that phone. It's very similar in a lot of respects.
Yeah, yeah.
But 144 hertz, 1440p resolution, flat front face. I don't know that there are many other phones that still have that. The only phones I can think of that have high refresh and higher resolution, but without curved glass, are Sony's.
That's true. Sony
I
with
think that
the
might be it.
4K
With the
120.
one
Yeah, exactly.
series. Yeah.
The one series
So
primarily. Yeah.
so this is an excellent display. I mean, it is a really pretty display. But the other part of this conversation that's really exciting is getting to play with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2.
The first
uh,
Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 to be released in the market, actually, if that's correct. That
in
there are no
international
other
markets. So
international market. Yeah.
the Chinese markets beat us to the punch. The Vivo X90 Pro Plus, I
Yes, and
think,
I
is
think if I'm
shipping in
not
China,
and then I think the
and the
Xiaomi
IQOO
is in.
11 Pro
Oh, okay.
is also shipping in China. And this is a conversation we were having over text last night. Increasingly, China is keeping their crown jewel phones for themselves, and
Sorry.
we'll have to see if we get any kind of wider distribution on these
It.
types of phones. I
Yeah.
hope that we see an international release for the 11 Pro and for the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. But of course, the companies are being really cagey about what those timelines look like.
That's the well, yeah, and then that's typically what'll happen. I know Xiaomi, at least for the most part, will release Chinese variants, and then maybe a month or so later on, they'll release the international model. At
Yeah,
least that's how they've done it historically. I know with Vivo, well, with Vivo, I think we've seen them release most of their versions, but maybe later on. IQ also, just for reference, not to kind of take away from the Gen 2, also released the first MediaTek Dimensity
Dimensity.
8200
Yeah.
yesterday, which was I didn't realize that they had another one. I was like tweeting out at one of our buddies, and he's pushing out the 8200. I'm like, yeah, great. When we're gonna see phones? He's like, and there you go. And I'm like, okay. So the
Oh,
Neo, I want to say the Neo 9 or the
yeah,
Neo
the new
6.
Neo. Yeah.
Yeah, the new Neo is featuring the
So
8200. So
so the
IQOO's.
Neo 6 last year was the Snapdragon 870,
Oh,
I
okay,
think.
okay. So this time they're
So
going 8200. That's not bad.
that Neo line makes a lot of sense. Again, the 8200 built very similarly to Snapdragon 870, but on a
Mhm.
die shrink, it is a monster performer.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, absolutely.
I'll be really curious to see what the strategy is, because IQOO sort of split their lines last year. There was the
Hmm.
IQOO 9, which was international, and the IQOO 10s, which were China only.
Oh, okay.
And now it seems like IQOO 11 is going to be kind of more cohesive across the board. I'll be really curious to see if they play the same game, like IQOO 11 international and China, then China gets an IQOO 12 that doesn't really make sense in my brain. It just seems too confusing.
I
But
think we
I've
talked
been
about that
spending
before. Yeah, but yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
No, no.
it's just difficult, to kind of wrap your brain around what the company's doing. But I think it's very, very clear that Vivo, as its own sub brand under the kind of BBK umbrella of
Yeah,
manufacturers, has been pushing. It's becoming like their experimental line for
yeah.
BBK, because they're really pushing aggressively on co-processors. The V2 is insanely powerful in this phone. And then also, they've beaten every other company to the punch on getting Qualcomm to start handing them next year's chips this year. So I've been benchmarking like crazy. I've been testing like crazy. This is so exciting because we just got LumaFusion for Android, and I'm
Hmm.
running new video rendering tests. It was midnight last night, and I was writing up a whole piece on the Patreon just talking about how I'm going to be changing up how I test for video. Doing nighttime shots with this is absolutely insane. The processing speed is crazy, and it's
Okay.
the only phone series, anything with the V2. So the Vivos with their with the the Vivos with the V2, and the IQOOs with the V2. I mean, everything that we say about a Pixel, how good a Pixel is at chewing up image data,
Hmm.
this V2 is like having the time. halving the time it takes to process an image over a Pixel 7 Pro. And so I actually showed that in my little first hands-on. I do
I know you're
a
doing that
night sight
burst.
shot from a
Mhm.
Pixel 7, and I do a night mode shot from this. And the Pixel 7 Pro has a significant image sensor advantage over the
Yep.
IQOO. And the IQOO can still put out a sharper, clearer, brighter image in half the time that you're holding the phone to get that night mode shot.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never seen anything like it. It was magic to me on the X70 and the X80. It's even better on this V2. And so now
Yeah.
if we can get that X90 Pro Plus with the 1-inch sensor and this co-processor, I mean, that's mind-blowing what that thing will be capable of. But just getting back to here, and we can definitely chat and answer any questions for things like early impressions and performance testing and benchmarking and stuff. But I think we're in for a treat. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 is very powerful. We expected it to be a high performance SoC,
Hmm.
but it just seems to be continuing a trend of more reasonable performance.
Hmm.
Battery draw, thermals, the thermal envelope is a lot better behaved. Gaming performance is a bit more consistent. And it also seems like manufacturers are taking that thermal load more seriously. Because that was a major talking point on the IQOO was, hey, we're doing this with graphite and with vapor chambers and with liquid cooling. And like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you can't keep building phones like their Snapdragon 855s and putting in ridiculously hot chips that overheat.
The 8
So
Gen
I
1
think
taught us a very expensive
the
lesson.
888 was
Oh, the
teaching us that
888
lesson. It was
too.
like
Yeah, that's true.
manufacturers still had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it'll get better next year, and it got way worse. So my early testing here has been very encouraging. This is the
Yeah.
first BBK branded phone that I've used where a few games will pass 60 frames per second. We don't have that hard limiter, that
There's no
hard
hard limiter.
lock.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's very measured. You can tell there's definitely still some performance managing happening, but I've got a few games that will play at a higher tier above that 60 frames per second cap. That speaks to me that they've got a lot more confidence in this product and from this from Qualcomm that they're willing to kind of let the performance spike up a little bit more Xiaomi style.
I like that. I
Um,
like that. Yeah. Let the
we've been
processor
due.
do the thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's really been pretty wonderful, kind of taking this first early peek because I think all of these brands are now going to be operating with better parts. I kind of came to the end of this year. I kind of came to sort of an acquiescing or an apathy on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. I like
Mhm.
a lot of phones that have 8 Gen 1s, despite the fact that they have 8 Gen 1s. A Motorola, great
Oh,
phone.
yeah, yeah,
My
yeah.
Sony
No, no.
Xperia, great
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
phone. And just because it has the 8 Gen 1 doesn't mean that I'm writing it off as a total deal breaker. But it seems we're fine. It took us 2 years,
Two
but it
ge-
seems like we're
2
finally
years and
learning
three
those
generations
lessons.
of the 888, the
Yes.
888 plus, and the 8 Gen 1. First for
And it took us
Qualcomm
to
to
the 8
realize.
Plus Gen 1. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and but also changing manufacturing, going from Samsung to TSMC to get that benefit. That was the biggest shift. The moment TSMC jumped in, it just literally leveled and got us to where we were supposed to be. And I love the fact that the 8 Gen 2, especially if you're coming from an 8 Gen 1 plus or the 8 Plus Gen 1, I don't really feel like the 8 Gen 2 is that much of an improvement over because you're starting to see some of that performance, less power draw,
Hmm.
cooler temperatures, better management. I have the Diablo Immortal version of the ROG Phone 6 that's running the 8 Plus
Yeah.
Gen 2, and it does run much cooler than what I've seen in the past. So for me, those are the experiences I'm looking forward to enjoying. So first, I'm happy that you got a chance to play with it. I got a chance to test it out with demo, non-production level hardware, and even from beta. So they gave us an hour and a half of benchmarking. So I want to say, obviously, as you guys know, I live for benchmarking on my phone all day long. That's all I do. It's Geekbench for the win. The temperatures on the device, if there was one thing I measured by it, just using it and playing Genshin Impact and playing Call of Duty, PUBG, the temperatures weren't that hot. I remember that from
Yeah.
one of my biggest things because a year or so ago when I was with Qualcomm, I went up to the engineer and I'm like, what are you guys recommending or doing regarding the temperatures? This device is very hot. And his recommendation was like, we're giving the recommendation to the manufacturers. It's up to them to make the changes. And I understand, obviously, from the from their point of view, they're like, hey, we're giving you a Lamborghini engine. it's up to the car manufacturer to put the cooling and do all of that stuff.
Right.
This year, at least, it's managed, and you got to play with the IQ 11. Obviously, we hope to see that in the international market. I'm excited to see that this is their
Yeah.
second BMW, or did they do that? But I think this is their second
No,
BMW design,
they've been
right?
doing I want to say this is the third generation, maybe the fourth. I always have to point it out because I think this is hilarious. Hold on, let me get just kind of on a lock screen. So this is a BMW M Motorsport partnership. It's a hot rod phone.
Yeah,
It
yeah, yeah.
really is. But if I swipe over to the lock
The
screen,
magazine, the lock screen magazine.
the
Yeah, yeah,
magazine of
yeah, yeah,
images,
yeah.
like really, really pretty lock screen images that you can have on your phone, there are no BMW wallpapers, but there are some
Oh,
other automobile manufacturers that are direct competitors of BMW. And I've been pointing this out since the
that are
IQ
missing
9.
phones. Maybe they need they. No, no, you're right. You're right. A
You open
phone.
the box and there's this beautiful card of a race car BMW in the box, and you're like,
Yeah.
ooh, it's BMW, and this is so fun, and automobiles, and then you turn on the phone and there's a G wagon. Like, okay, great, um, that's
No,
awesome.
I know our buddy Jermaine was also trying to put something out as well. I think there's a lot of other companies. The Vivo Gang, Michael
Vivo
Peppertech just kicking it.
gang.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Vivo Gang for the win. I think that's where I was gonna say. Vivo was it? What was sorry, Michael's was it the Victor
Vivo
Gang?
Victor.
Vivo Victor. That's what it was. Yeah. Now there was a few.
Yeah.
There was a debate on Twitter. If you guys don't
And
follow us on
Vivo
Twitter,
Victors can be a part of the Vivo gang, and
absolutely.
it's like we're a bunch of tiny lions that turn into one giant robot. So,
And
um,
hopefully, at some point in the future, I'm able to join that, other than just stealing devices from Juan. But I do like the
oh,
device.
I
I
got to get
seriously.
this in your hands, especially for the gaming side, because I test on a bunch of esoteric indie games, and you'll play actually like
So
Genshin and COD and stuff like that.
we
I
could
think you'll really dig
definitely we
this.
can definitely do maybe a quick turnaround, a phone
Yeah,
exchange with the Diablo's ROG 6 and the IQ,
I'm
because
all about
I'm on
it.
a certain timeline on the ROG, so I need to also kind of push out some content
Oh,
for that
that's
as
right. You
well.
got to flip it.
Yeah.
So,
So that one's not a mine. That was a loaner. So yeah.
the only thing I kind of want to add to all of this is I've already started getting some of those comments from like iPhone stands, and it doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't seem to ever break through that the end of 2022, Qualcomm and MediaTek caught up to Apple in a really big way. And as close as we can get for oranges to oranges comparisons between
Hmm.
two very different styles of smartphones, we have to throw the shout out because I'm not doing this kind of testing anymore. The apps that you use to test this kind of performance have gotten really obnoxious to use, but he's still doing it. Is Golden Reviewer
Hmm.
is doing like some really hardcore metrics for game testing on phones. And what we saw, like with the Xiaomi 12s Ultra and the Xiaomi 12T Pro,
Hmm.
I mean, we're within 5%, maybe 8% performance per watt of the newest, bestest Apple silicon going into the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And
Yeah.
you're like, that's, we're at parity. I mean, there are so many of these CPU and GPU differences that you can't just legit test the exact same app in the exact same way. But with the 8 Plus Gen 1, we're there.
Hmm.
And the 8 Gen 2 is giving me about 10% bumps in heavy CPU compute tasks with better sustained performance than the 8 Plus Gen 1. So this whole unlabeled bar graph Apple marketing regurgitation of, whoa, they're still like 3 generations ahead. That's from techies who really aren't paying attention and don't do anything on their phones except average consumer basic crap. Because when you really throw a workload on these devices, they're catching up in a big way. And Tensor 2 still has a lot of tricks to offer,
Hmm.
even though it's objectively a less powerful CPU and GPU than what's in Qualcomm. All of the extra machine learning bits from Google really do deliver some outstanding performance in real world applications. 2023 is going to be a really exciting year for this kind of enthusiast performance.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping we see the mid range catch up. I hope we finally get that 7 Gen series from Qualcomm. And the Dimensity 8200 looks like it's going to be an absolute monster
That came
of a
out of
chip.
nowhere for me. I mean, I kind of expected that there would be a next generation from the 8100 with the 9200 that came out that we were at the launch event for. But the 8200 was definitely going to be a big one, and also the 1080. We're starting to see the 1080 come out in more devices.
Hmm.
We're going to
Yeah.
see obviously more higher performance, lower cost efficient. Well, not for cost. I would say efficient for the price and power kind of a thing.
Hmm.
SoCs come out, and MediaTek is coming out pretty big this year. We're already
Yeah.
starting to see them out in many devices in multiple companies. And again, the 1080 is coming up internationally quite a bit. I saw it on 2 different devices, and that was really one of the better ones. Sorry, you had a comment highlighted, and I didn't get a chance to. David Burns is hanging out with us as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be curious to
So
see. Yeah.
what is Michael Peppertecker writes, I'd be curious to know what is the new Snapdragon chip and what is the device as far as cooling? Is it the IQOO or is it the chip or is it a bit of both? It's got to be a bit of both.
Hmm.
So here's the reality of using an 8 Gen 2. It is still an 8 Gen. 8 Gen 1 was not very power efficient, and we could see some short spikes of performance where that chip would pull like 8 watts out of your phone battery. That's idle for like a thin light laptop.
Hmm.
Like when you have a laptop that just sort of chugs at 8 to 10 watts. You've got a laptop battery and fans and a bigger surface area to get heat out.
Yeah.
8 watts on a phone is an intense power draw. So sustained performance was really crippled because it's difficult to keep pulling that much off of a phone battery and keep the whole thing cool enough so that it doesn't melt the internals. Um, uh, when we got to the 8 Plus Gen 1,
Hmm.
we saw similar performance, but at closer to like 5 to 6 watts. There was like a 20 to 30% reduction in power draw off the battery, and that helps the sustained performance. So a sudden spike of performance from 8 Gen 1 to 8 Plus Gen 1 looked very similar. There wasn't a huge difference there, but then you go 30 seconds on the 8 Gen 1 and your phone basically tanks, and you go like 5 minutes on the 8 Plus Gen 1 and you're still kind of sitting pretty. The 8 Gen 2 is another baby step from the 8 Plus Gen 1. All of these cores are tweaked, they're a little bit more powerful, but we're keeping that same sort of thermal envelope, that same sort of power draw at around 5 watts from what I can see.
Yeah.
Um, that's still a significant amount of power to draw off of a phone battery. So an 8 Gen 2 is not a panacea that completely solves all the problems of having a powerful chip in a phone. You still need to build the phone around 5 to 6 watts of total power draw,
You have
which
to
is a
design,
lot.
yeah, exactly, and allow for the heat to dissipate in the right way,
Yeah.
and not allow it to accumulate in one spot so that it generates a super hot spot.
So
Which
Qualcomm
again,
is giving us a better tool. It
yeah,
is a better piece of silicon that is more reasonable. But let's not pretend that this still doesn't come with some of those drawbacks. We've seen the same thing happen with A series processors.
hmm,
These bumps in performance have come at the expense of battery life. If you want the best battery life, you really should be looking at an iPhone 14. An iPhone 14 Pro is not going to perform as well because it is more powerful silicon. And this is the same thing here. If you want better battery life, you really should be shopping the proper mid-rangers that are using what's the new, it's the 782 Snapdragon?
oh,
Is that the one that they just released? Because they
you
had
mean
the
the
765, the
788?
778,
There's the 788. I want to say the
778.
788, 778.
I want to
Sorry,
say
yeah,
it's
G.
782. 782G or something like that. Anyway,
Well,
you want a
okay.
700 or a 600 series SoC if you want better battery life. We are talking the premium tier, most expensive phones. You want good reasons to step up to almost laptop grade compute power in something that fits in your pocket. That's
Uh,
where we're at.
you're right.
So
It's the
I think this is going to
782G.
do
Sorry.
782G. Okay.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I mean, I couldn't really remember. It's just so many numbers. You had to memorize all these numbers. But that kind of goes hand in hand. So we've got a better solution for high performance computing. This is outstandingly ludicrous, absurd overkill
Hmm.
for average consumers. I've been going back and forth and I've been retesting like 3 generations back. So I'm on LumaFusion and I'm running like absolutely ridiculous 4K video rendering workloads through Snapdragon 855s.
Hmm.
A Snapdragon 855 can still render 4K at 150 megabit per second data rates
Wow.
faster than real time. So you put a 1 minute project in your timeline and you do fades and you do color correction, you do transitions, a watermark, a soundtrack, you make a video project out of it. And the LG V50
Hmm.
and the Surface Duo, Duo 1, both completed that render time in around 55 seconds.
Wow.
Tell me what average consumer is out there cutting 150 megabit per second 4K video and needs it 30%
There's
faster than
sure.
that. A Snapdragon 855 is still stupid overkill for just doing your basic daily average consumer tasks. You don't
It
need it.
it's marketed as a powerful car, but it always is marketed against tasks that are efficiently run on a
Yeah.
7 series or even a 6 series processor, which is really weird when you consider the fact, like, these are the things that I kind of like. I look at it. So the 1080 running here on what we get here
Yes.
with the 10 Pro Plus, or even when we look here with the 695 on the 10 Pro, both are capable of doing your daily activities with 120 frames per second refresh rate and everything that you need very efficiently, very fast. And it's not based on that's the only reason why you need to buy, like a flagship or so on. The mid-ranger experience is so much more advanced than what we've seen in the past. And I think really that's where a lot of people are living in. This is where most people buy their devices.
Hmm.
And it's really, it answers the mail, in my opinion. It's just, but whenever you see a flagship being released, we need to start looking at the differentiators, like you were talking before, the co-processors, what Vivo and IQOO is doing. Finally, Oppo is starting to use their own NPUs. They're starting to, Mary Silicon X. They're
Yeah.
incorporating that into their Reno line as well. But that's what we're missing with some of the other companies. They're going with Qualcomm's. I would say, I'm not gonna say vanilla, but like the standard setup of what Qualcomm provides us. But
Right.
companies are starting to look for other options to make it more differentiating quality of audio, differentiating quality of
Yeah.
video. Sony still, for me, like the video I dropped this morning, is so easy to hook up an external mic to a Sony. You just plug it in and it's just
Yeah.
there, and it's such a natural
Oh, but
experience.
TK average consumers are basically fine without having headphone jacks. I had another guy in my comments, and like, thankfully, I didn't even need to reply to him. Someone else like, "Hey, do more things with your phone."
Yeah,
And
man,
so
just
then I
flat out
snuck
do
in and was
stuff.
like, I mean, I can appreciate that people have acquiesced, and
Mhm.
again, they're apathetic, but I see a lot of cabled headphones out there still, especially
I
from iPhone users
When
using
you
like
travel, yeah,
those
when you
ear
travel
pods.
internationally and you go to Europe and you go around, more and more people are walking around with wired headsets. I mean, you
Yeah.
obviously see the Bluetooth headsets.
Oh,
That's
sure.
not there's no way to ignore those.
I think Bluetooth has kind of peaked, and now we have just a wider diversity of different options that people can play with.
Very few things are making Bluetooth audio. I mean, don't get me wrong. Qualcomm is trying to bring in spatial audio to more affordable
Oh yeah,
price points and so on.
I don't
There's
mean
things going on.
you absolutely correct. I don't mean peaked in terms of technology. Obviously, that is still continuing to improve. What I mean
Absolutely, no,
is
no. Yeah,
peaked in terms of sales and market penetration. In that
absolutely.
this
Yeah,
year,
yeah.
I think we're going to see sort of a flattening of
Everybody
Bluetooth
knows
audio
about Bluetooth
adoption.
headset. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
no longer
yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
situation where like, what, you could do things wirelessly. No, no. Where I think it's more about differentiation. I'm starting to see more unique features, like Soundcore put out the V10, the P10s, which are dongle connected, like the other ones that we
Hmm.
saw also from JBL when we were at MediaTek. Those are other,
One
2.4
more is with
gigahertz.
spatial audio.
Absolutely. And those are the things that we're starting to see more of. I think like these little differentiators, kind of like what we're seeing with smartphones at the higher end with the larger sensors, better processing, and so on. What I'm excited about, at least for now, is although this is still early in the conversation, the 8 Gen 2 is literally
Mhm.
barely starting to come out as far as devices internationally.
Yeah.
We need to kind of also take that with a grain of a couple of software updates, so more, and see how things
Oh
kind
yeah.
of improve, and also comparing it to some of the other options that are going to be available.
Oh,
Xiaomi, I'm
and
pretty sure very soon will have something. So
oh,
it
there's
it
definitely going to be a reply from the Xiaomi 13, and it's going to be glorious. We're primed for a great fight internationally. I'm actually really disappointed in the North American market, because it's going to take us a while
Oh,
for us to get some of this
yeah,
stuff,
because
and we're not
Samsung
going
is
to
going to
get
have to
all of
bring
it.
it in because Samsung is
Yeah.
the ushering of the 8 Gen
I,
2 series
I
because
mean,
nobody else knows it before them.
if we could hopefully get like a future Moto Edge that has like
Oh, the
a
Edge
1 inch sensor on
2023.
it,
Yeah.
something would be awesome. I do want to just point out this. This is from Brian Billing in the comments. Battery life exactly right. I have a Tab S7 FE with a 778G and an S8 Ultra with an 8 Gen 1. The S8 Ultra has a 20% larger battery, but the S7 FE has just as good battery life, if not a little better.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course.
And again, we always have to eat that. As soon as battery technology improves, people use their devices more aggressively. So we never really get like, if I used my phone exactly the same way that I used my Note 4, I would get like 5 days of battery. But instead, I get like better battery performance and better recharging, and I just use way more and more graphically intense stuff on my Androids. We've got to transition over because you've got a phone that I really want to hear about in that Realme. But in doing that, the last thing that I want to just kind of mention, you were saying it's
Please.
early software, it's early
Yeah.
hardware. There are definitely some major gremlins that need to get kind of tweaked in updates on the HN2. A lot of games do not know what to do with this new Adreno GPU.
Nope.
Alien Isolation turned into fly eye, like bug eye paneling. So it broke up into a block of 8 squares that were each processing different parts of the scene. I've never seen anything like that. I have a clip of that in my IQOO 11 first look. It's actually kind of impressive because it's almost like the Adreno is rendering 8 different parts of the game still at 30 FPS. So it's like doing work 8 times harder and keeping the same frame rate, but you can't play the game that way. Undead Horde also, backgrounds and draw distance are totally borked. So you can play the game, but you have like neon panels where like woods and trees and mountains should be. And I just got to put it out there. I don't think I have the phone that oh wait, maybe I do. This is the hot news. We've totally we've totally missed the, what am I trying to say? We've totally buried the lead.
Oh, sorry.
Because Vampire Survivors, my phone will not, my camera will not properly focus. Come on, focus, you darn Panasonic. I can't get it to work.
Okay,
Vampire
I'll
Survivors
do it
for real is on Google Play, and it's
for free
on Google Play for free.
Gratis.
There are some ads that you can interact with for like cheats. So far, the only advertising that you'll see is if like you die in a level and you want to quick respawn in the same place where you died, that serves you an ad. Other than that, it's the full Vampire Survivors, can be played portrait or landscape, and it's absolutely free. It's only like $5 on Steam.
I was gonna say it's not that much expensive. I mean, I still prefer playing it on my Steam Deck, but put this in, connect it to an Nreal or a TCL where, this is seriously.
Go to town.
If you have never played this game, it is the best. I'm not gonna say time waster, but it eats up your time in no time.
It's the best time waster.
It's a 30-minute chunk of an experience. If you're able to play the whole 30 minutes, if you don't get to the 30 minutes, you just respawn and keep trying. Like Juan, basically sitting there for somewhat of like 6-7 days or something, unlocking everything. But that's beside the point. Download it, please.
I'm now
make
at
sure
119 hours on Vampire Survivors on my Steam Deck, and I gotta start over and start building up all my characters on my Androids.
Oh, dude. Well, actually, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, we could start it up. So I downloaded it on Pixel 7 Pro. I saw it yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before?
Yeah,
the moment I saw that, I was
a
like,
quiet, sneaky release. It just went up. I think the day
it was
before
from them.
yesterday.
Yeah, they tweeted it, and I was like, okay, install it. Absolute a lot of fun. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, it's not a very demanding game, but it's very much a fun game, easy to get in, easy to get out. If you're done, you just get out. That's it. And you don't have to invest too much time. That's, I think, the biggest thing.
Good.
Typically we get all these campaigns and whatever. No, this is easy.
It's hilarious. My two favorite games of 2022, Vampire Survivors and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
The same style. I know. I mean, hey, it's they're fun games. This is the thing.
Yeah.
You sometimes you want that graphic intensive type of a game experience. I will say that Genshin Impact plays much better on what we got with the Gen 2. It still runs it
Yeah.
warm. This is just based on what the app does.
Totally.
But like some of the other games we're playing, like Alien Isolation, some of the other games that are just visual, they need to be updated. You're right. I'm kind of
Yeah.
like circling back to your comment. It's the first adopters or first time
The early
users of
adopter.
any new tech. There's going to be some growing pains and adjustment, and that's typical to what we saw. Tensor took us by a little bit of a quick turnaround there because Tensor One was new. Very few games and systems were updated for that, and so therefore there were a lot of commentary on that, not realizing that what software gets updated. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
And things get better with time. Speaking of, not that I kind of want to plug that in, but if you haven't had a chance to and you own a Pixel, make sure you update your device. The feature
Yes.
drop came with so much stuff. And I'm really excited to showcase some of that stuff too. I'm working on a video that I struggled to put together because I can't put my mind on how to present it. Um, but I want to put out my video for the 7 Pro review. I use it. It's my main daily driver phone. I'm even using the Pixel Watch again. My wife kind of hit me up today and she's like, and again, nothing against Pixel. It just doesn't look like a right watch that fits on my hand. She's like, why are you wearing the tiny watch again?
Yeah.
And I said, it's not. I'm trying to, you know,
I
I
want to
like
get I
it.
want to get like a good canvas sport band for it, and I think it would wear a little bit better
I think so
on
too.
my
Something a
wrist.
little bit bigger
Yeah.
than the little bands that we have here. Something a little bit
Agree.
more, along line of what I normally wear. But yeah, totally with you. Games, definitely download. If you haven't had it, download Vampire Survivors. Really good. I don't know. That's a long way of me saying please download. Hashtag not sponsored by Vampire Survivors.
And so
Have
yeah,
to.
like I said, we've been playing with some crazy phones. If there are anything else that you want to ask, because like I've been running a ton of benchmarks, file compression, and
So one thing I've never
fast
had,
photo
I
processing and
couldn't
stuff.
remember.
So
Does IQOO does the IQOO or the Vivo brand? Actually, I think on Vivo they do. Does IQOO support high resolution front facing video? Like
yeah,
for
1080p.
okay, so it's still 1080p. So
Yes,
I really need to. Oh my god,
and
I
that
need.
is the area where I feel the IQOO feels more like a T series than a proper next generation. The
Yeah,
main sensor is the same 1/1.57 inch sensor, or there are two different flavors of that. There's a Samsung flavor and there's a Sony flavor, but basically the same sensor size we've been playing with all last year. But the ultra wide is kind of weak. It's not a great ultra wide shooter. So that
let
that
me see.
that was a little disappointing. The IQOO 11 Pro moves us over to curved glass on the screen, but it has a better ultra wide camera. And
Yeah,
I'm torn on what I personally would want. I I just want the flat
no, no,
screen and the better cameras, and
I
I don't know that I'll ever get it.
I really wish there would be a situation where even if there's like a month or two wait time on it, like something like a Motomod Experience Builder,
Yeah,
right? A company says, "Look, I sell XYZ devices. I sell all the way from the budget front end to the super expensive to the mid range to the flagship. We will allow you within certain, obviously, characteristics. There's going to be some limitations. You can't just
components and
say,
configurations. Yeah,
exactly. Like I don't want to buy plastic body, but with an 8 Gen 2 with a massive batten. You know what I mean? Let us do some type of a Motomod experience. Let us build the
yeah,
the device version that we get out of your parts bin. It may take a little bit longer. It's more custom, maybe a little bit more, but you get the device that you kind of want. Like if you want insert name of a device, but we want a 6,000 milliampere battery, you're okay with a little bit of thicker back on that end. That kind of would work. But the concern that I'm looking at it, we always have to fit into a vision of sometimes like, what the companies envision is the trend. And they're kind of trying to figure out what that combination is, that recipe I like to call, to meet
yeah.
that price, the profit level that they're trying to meet, and also somewhat meet that popularity level where people like it enough to buy it, right? There's like a whole like this is one thing I will say. Realme has been, and I'm hoping I can show this on camera. I don't know if you guys could
That's real
see
pretty.
that little shimmer thing that, yeah, in my camera. Yeah, Sony's like, TK, what are you doing? That little shimmer that you get there, these are designs that Realme had to kind of figure out a way to put together a device. So they released two phones. Just kind of a nice little segue into the other side of the devices that came out. Surprisingly, on the same day as IQOO. So Juan and I were both like at the same time, not in, but we're basically working with both BBK sub brands. Um, I will say I'm surprised to see that IQ like openly says that they're a sub brand of Vivo. You know, like how it's a weird thing. Like
Yeah.
we know that IQ is a sub brand of Vivo. We know that Realme is a sub brand of Vivo of Oppo, and but
Hmm.
OnePlus is more so into with Oppo at this point. But like Realme always likes to stand on their own. So, but circling back, two devices released: the Realme 10 Pro and the Realme 10 Pro Plus. Both are mid-range devices. The Pro series is primarily distinguished certain characteristics within their devices, slightly higher tier than the standard 10. Both featuring 108 megapixel camera sensor on the back. That's going to be the star crown jewel of the both these devices. Uh, and they kind of did the same as the IQ. They went with an 8 megapixel ultra wide, which kind of like,
Yeah.
why? Give me a
But
no, you know,
I think we're seeing some of that shrinkflation happen in our phones, where we want to
absolutely.
keep a certain price point, and that means, hey, we're going to improve the manufacturing, the components, the screen, the
Yeah,
radios, the SoC,
yeah.
and we've got to whittle back on a few other sort of lifestyle or other fun features.
Absolutely. And I feel like the solution, so the tailoring that was done from Realme on both of these devices, they both feature the same size display, 6.7-inch, 120 hertz refresh rate. That's the one thing that I like. But the recipe that they went with both is slightly different. Like we got the flat display with the headphone jack on the 10 Pro, a little bit more in kind of indicating it, hey, this is better for gamers, low latency, no latency, better audio, and of course that flat display that you like, which this would be the 10 Pro. Well, so let's see if we can get this one. So that one is like nice little shimmer color,
Yeah,
purplish blue.
more
Depends
of
on
a
how the
matte
sun hits
finish.
it. Very nice. And also, both of them are featuring Android 13. First Realme devices to come out with Realme UI 4.0 based on Android 13. Again, a derivative of what we saw with ColorOS. ColorOS is as the primary. I would call it the source because
Yeah,
Oxygen OS and Realme UI are both kind of like derivative of that.
for
Um,
sure.
Stereo speakers, good experience, fast processing on the 1080. So the Pro Plus is a MediaTek Dimensity 1080, and then the Pro is a Snapdragon 695. Both 5G
Okay.
capable, very
Yeah.
capable mid-ranger, and as you were saying, keeping the price down, both under $400. The 10 Pro is closer to 300 at 320 US, what their MSRP. I'm sure you will be able to find them for cheaper. And of course, the 10 Pro Plus is going to be at 379, and that's at the base models. Using the 8128 on both of those guys. So
Yeah.
it's decent. That again, we have a little bit of a stint, kind of like a quiet area where Realme wasn't releasing as much, and I think I was like starting to wonder what was going on, and they're starting to slowly come back, and they're releasing these two at the end of 2022. So this is going to be the mid ranger, more affordable, but definitely great looking devices. I'll say this: aesthetics.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people care, and a lot of people love to see how their phone looks. These hit it at a T, and they include cases and chargers in the box. Like, who would have thunk they do these things anymore? Like, seriously,
Yeah. I
chargers.
mean, just like, and wait. So wait a minute. The 10 Pro Plus, is that the 120? What's the
So,
charger?
66. So, sorry, 66 or
66. Okay.
67. Yeah. So 33 and 66, or 67, both running at 5K milliampere. So very
Nice.
similar. Like, seriously, like when you look at them, the Plus does have its own. I would have loved to see the headphone jack stay with the Plus, although I think they were trying to maybe kind of leverage different
I
things. So
know
the
they always try to find those differentiating points, but at some
what?
point it would be nice just to have one more option that's sort of an everything phone. IR blaster, headphone jack, and memory card support.
Let me see if I can get this thing to do. So you could see a little bit of a thickness
Oh,
difference here. The Pro
yeah.
Plus is a little thinner. So
Hmm.
and if they feel light, like the 10 Pro Plus. So the Pro Plus feels lighter than the 10 Pro for some reason, although it has the same size battery. Um, but yeah, great display. Cameras are actually pretty decent. Post processing, as we know, with ColorOS, or sorry, with Realme UI. Fingerprint sensor is a little bit different as well. Side mounted on the 10 Pro into in display for the 10 Pro Plus. So again, qualifying why it's 379 over 319. But yeah, very happy with them. Very, I mean, I ended up using the 10 Pro Plus more, mostly because of the the light reflection. I love that little. I want to call it like a wing effect because it looks like a wing, like the feathers
Yeah.
from a wing that kind of just turn around. Especially when you caught up to the light. I think OnePlus did that with the 8. Remember that nice little,
Yeah.
very reflective, super
Oh,
hard to
I
take
think
videos of.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
got it here. I'll grab it here. But
you have
that's
it. No,
definitely a. I was
I
gonna
gave
say
mine
it's
to
an
my mom.
Honor and Huawei.
Yeah, yeah.
They would do stuff like that a lot.
I love how you have your picture sitting in the back, so when you leave, there's still a Juan
Zoink.
peeking at us from the back.
Oh, I love it.
But yeah, no, the
So
OnePlus
yeah, I
8, I think
forget what
that
they called it, but it was like the color.
yeah.
So
Well,
you know,
yeah, I
from
remember.
any
Yeah,
angle
that
it
one is
changes.
way like you could see. Yeah, the purple, the blue. It's really all about when you have the light hit it. So yesterday
And
well,
then I
the
take
sun
it
came
and I
out.
put it in one of their sandstone cases, so it's just totally plain. There you go.
It's
Pretty
a
fun.
it's a OnePlus. It's definitely a OnePlus. Uh, yeah, this is one of the bigger things. So I think that was my biggest appreciation of the device. It's small, it's nimble, it's fast, it looks good, and it's capable of doing a lot of good things. Definitely a tailored experience. But again, for 379, you really can't bark at it, and you have to understand also the features that you're getting. Always more than what you're paying for. And I'm glad to
Yeah.
see that Realme is back in the fold. And again, both BBK sub brands are out and running at the same time, which tells me that we can't wait to hear more about what Oppo's doing. And oh, speaking about that, Oppo did finally confirm their innovation day is going to be on the 14th. That's going to be coming
Nice.
up next week, so it's going to be pretty good to hear some of the stuff. We saw some leaks about the N2 and an N2 Flip. There's going to be I guess Oppo's going into the flip market. I'm saying this now, and I'm hoping if this goes up to the ether though, I want to see them international. We need to bring the Oppo the foldable version of their devices to the international market, be it a OnePlus brand, be it an Oppo brand, something. Uh, like I see these things and I'm like, innovation is happening. It's just happening in a market that we can't use these devices, or if we do import them,
Yeah.
there are some limitations. So I'd like to see what things are, and yeah, so that's coming up. A lot of that stuff kind of coming up as well for like just type of content and devices. And I think overall, yeah, I saw your show on Monday, by the way. Also, it was really nice.
Well, thanks. I'm glad that you enjoy the crazy ramblings and pajama podcasts. So
It's always whenever
it's
you're in the show and you're like, TK's ears are burning. I'm like, no, dude, TK's been there the whole time. It's just TK chose to respond back when you're talking
mhm.
smack on Monday morning
Oh,
shows.
I wasn't. I don't believe it was smack talk. It was probably smack talking.
Probably.
Um, because I don't know, man. Have you been shopping that tripod?
Okay, I'll say this. I got a notification from B&H this morning saying that the Peak design is $30 or $35 less. There is a separate version of the one that you have on the one that you pushed out on the video, and I think it's called the Y model. That's 300
Mm-hmm.
bucks, and it's still supposed to be carbon fiber. So I may be picking that one. So am I
The
looking
only
for a
thing I
tripod
would
for
check
Christmas?
is
Yes.
with Ulanzi, it gets really
Yeah.
confusing when you start looking at different mounts. So I
Oh, I didn't
purposely
check.
got the one
Yeah.
that has the F38 mount so that I
Yeah,
could
yeah, yeah.
use the same plates, because the Ulanzi and again, Ulanzi will sell this with an F38 plate. That F38 plate is not compatible with the Peak design. But if you go to Ulanzi and you get the combo plate, which is
Mhm.
compatible with F38 or with Peak design, that's what I've been buying. So I've
Okay.
got like 5 of those little square plates now, and so I can swap any camera or even any of my phone tripod mounts. And so I would just make sure it's using the F38, and then you
Mhm.
can, and you're not tied to it. At some point, if you want to switch over to Peak Design, all of your accessories are going to follow. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I would point out. But this thing has been rocking my socks. It
I want
is,
I need to pick one up before
it's
CES.
crazy.
I do not. I'll take that back. I like the Peak design. I like the tripod that I have. It's just as compact as it is. It's not compact enough. And after
Yeah.
when you walk around day on all day from one set, like the big
Mm-hmm.
thing about CES, the one thing I really don't like about CES is the fact that because everything is done individually by different companies, and CES is not tied to the convention center, meaning it's not
Yeah.
in one location. Literally all of Las Vegas is your canvas. Meetings are from one spot to the other. You're walking a lot. You're clocking in between 10 to 20,000 steps a day. you're going to feel the weight even if it's a light. So you want to get that carbon fiber, you want to get that
Like
lightweight.
every ounce matters.
Exactly. And also space. You don't want to walk around with something that is much longer that you're going to bump into people. So long story, yeah, I am looking. It's going to end up being either the Ulanzi, the F38, or the Peak Design. B&H saw that I went and checked the Peak Design, and literally I got an email this morning saying it was $30 less. So the Peak Design one is, I think it was 329. Hold on.
Yeah. And I still love my Peak Design aluminum, but
Mhm.
the aluminum being at the same price as the Ulanzi carbon fiber saves you like what 30% on your tripod weight. It's yeah,
Yeah,
it's
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 341. So
nice.
it's 341 currently. The one that you were referring, the one you showed us before, it's $341 on sale for the holidays. If I decide to end up going with that one, and I like both. I like, again, like I said, both of these devices are very good. And the question would end up being, yeah, is if I can get the one for the better price, but also kind of keep in mind the weight. You're right. I'm going to save weight regardless. Both are going to be a benefit
Hmm.
to me because I'm going on a much smaller form factor. So I'll have to see how the price kind of goes up for me on that one. I'm going to wait a couple more days. It seems like more and more sales are starting to kick up. But yeah,
Yeah.
B&H, keep looking out for
I
me.
don't know that the Ulanzi will ever end up being much cheaper, just because it's kind of a direct competitor to the $600 Peak Design.
That's true. It is. Yeah,
We,
when
we'd be
you go
comparing
straight
it
for the
against,
carbon fiber, yeah.
yeah. So the aluminum is 3.5 pounds. The Peak Design, which is really nice, light, compact. That's a good travel tripod. The
Yeah, yeah.
Ulanzi is like 2.3 or 2.4 pounds, so it's almost 50% lighter, and you feel it. it's it's shockingly light.
You know what? Okay, I'm probably gonna go with the I'll go with the Alonzi. I'll pick it up and I'll try it out and see if because I haven't, when I saw it with you on last week when we hung out for a little bit, I saw it for like literally 2 seconds. We didn't get a chance to spend that much time. It was raining. It was a long, we had our session. We kind of got everything kind of set up and done, and I was like really a little bit more like, okay, can I? I didn't get it. I think you were. Oh no, wait, you were using it, weren't you? Weren't you using it originally to prop up the 12S Ultra? Wasn't? Yeah, I think that's what we were using it for that.
Oh, so I hadn't gotten it yet, so I was using the Peak
Oh,
Design.
oh, so that was the Peak Design. Okay, so then I didn't even see
Yeah,
the Ulanzi. Okay,
yeah.
this.
I haven't been able to show it to you in person. I got the Ulanzi the day after our live stream.
Isn't that the story of
But
our
it's
life?
hilarious. I was chatting with Barry Johnson, and just like we've really been living this stuff. Barry Johnson, Engineer Reacts, and I mean, like, if you see video from me, especially anything outdoors, 95% of the time now it's shot from a phone. So it's so silly. I'm taking like $300 tripods, and I'd say it's about 80/20, maybe 70/30 phone to camera. And so I'll pop a phone mount on there, get my phone, set up the shot, do it all. And it's still this huge advantage having these like super lightweight portable tripods.
Yep.
But they are silly expensive considering I'm pairing them more with phones than I am with standalone cameras.
They're
But it's like this is the right tool for the job.
absolutely, yeah,
And
that's what I was going to
if
say.
I'm
Yeah.
packing super light by only going with a phone, it makes even more sense to pack even lighter for my tripod, because I know the tripod is easily going to be able to handle the weight of a phone. Like that's not going to be a problem.
More and more, I think that's one of the things I really liked about the Micro 2 from Rode. It's that small micro, like
Yeah.
the smaller portable experience. One of the
Hmm.
things that surprised me the most with the video, if you have a chance to check it out, I pushed that out this morning. In one bit of the testing, when I was testing the microphone, I was actually recording the video from the main cameras on the Xperia 1 Mark IV, but I was recording with the audio, so I had the microphone pointing to me. The audio sounded exactly as I was in the office. It was so dead on. I was so close to the microphone that it picked up the audio, and there was no chance of anything else coming up next to me. It sounded like I was in the studio. I was like, "Crap, that is good." From a $79 microphone that just props in. I mean, obviously, you need to have a headphone jack or some way of getting headphone audio in. That is crazy. Have that with a very light tripod. With, let's say, the Xperia 1 Mark IV. We both love that device. I think seriously, there's very few reasons for us to run any kind of heavy equipment when you're trying to cover an event where you have so much more of that productivity. The Xperia
Yeah.
covers storage, audio, video quality. You can slow mo, 4K 120, a lot of different functional things. And yeah, our kit's definitely getting smaller, and I'm enjoying that part. It's not losing quality; it's gaining functionality and losing weight.
Well,
I was
it's
like,
improving
it's on
mobility,
a diet.
and I'm trusting mobile more, where in years past, like, oh, if I want to get that shot, I'm really gonna have to break out a camera now, especially because I'm still on Panasonic gear. So if
Yeah,
I compare like a Xiaomi 12S Ultra or a Vivo X series to my Panasonic gear, man, it's really close. I,
yeah, yeah,
I it I can definitely get a better image out of specialty lenses, especially like really really fast prime lenses on my
yeah, yeah.
Panasonic, but I definitely can't get it faster. I mean,
I
just the time involved is now significantly higher breaking out the standalone camera.
standalone, setting it up, tripod. No, I'm absolutely with you. The X70 Pro Plus has been my B-roll camera for some time now, ever since I got it back, and it's just the right tool. Like for me, is it's easy. I turn it on, I use, I edit, I produce, I copy content. It's just the reality of where we are now. What we talked about also in other shows before, but main body cameras are starting to sell less and less. More people are realizing that, they're getting the ability of doing more with their mobile devices. And
Did you
the
hear
saying,
Panasonic is going to completely gut their small camera lines?
oh, dude, no, I didn't even hear about that part.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
they're
yeah.
gonna
I
they're
don't
gonna
follow
stop
Panasonic as
producing
much.
anything that has a stills focus for smaller micro four thirds camera bodies, and they're gonna be focusing more on really just diverting over into video.
Which I
So,
think is 90% of what we, at least
well, I
in
was
our
gonna say
line.
it's like
Yeah, yeah.
Sony's bread and butter with like the ZVs and stuff
The
like
ZV,
that.
the
So Panasonic is
ZVE10.
also looking to do that too.
Yeah, yeah, and I love, so that's the one thing I like about the ZV-E10. It's a small little powerful, camera that and you're able to change the experience. I think that was the one thing I didn't like about the first generation. It was that you got what you got with the camera lens, and you're like, you're
Yeah,
great. I'm like, okay, but I'm not a vlogger. I'm not gonna always gonna be holding it straight up to my face. I need flexibility. I also need to be able to have better lenses installed in there and higher, maybe something that's a little bit more closer to what I get from my main cameras. So I think that was my biggest thing. And in the video, I did also do a quick demo with that one as well. Easy plug and play. You just have to adjust the gain. That's one thing you always have to remember.
yeah,
Uh, you
always.
can't, yeah, you can't do much otherwise. But yeah, no, once you set it up in there, you can vlog from it all you want. But okay, so I'll probably end up doing that. I'll pick up the Ulanzi. I think Amazon has that one, and I'll pick it up and try it out for about a couple of days or so, see how that works. And if it sticks, then maybe that'll be what I end up going with, because I think that's because
I think it's always a benefit to have at least two good lightweight production tripods. So
Mhm.
what is it that you've got? Is it a because you have the same one as I? Is it Sanford and Davis,
Yeah,
the
hold on,
carbon fiber that you've got now?
it's the Traverse carbon fiber, the TR680. Oh, that was
Oh, the TR. Okay, so
uh,
having
dang.
having having at least like that where you can kind of prop stuff up, and it
It,
and it is
it's
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 still
it's a
a
decent,
great
yeah.
tripod.
It is definitely absolutely, yeah. And I know I can technically maybe get it even thinner, if shorter, if I reverse it. So I extend the arm up all the way to the top and reverse the arms all the way to go like all the way. I think I can make it slightly shorter, but that's typically not the way you carry it, so right? So, but then you have to remove the head and so on. So, long story short, yeah, I do need something a little bit more, let's say, less. I can't even fit it
Yeah.
into the frame. It's like not even okay. Trust me when I say it's smaller than my other solutions that I have, and it's a solid performer, and it's served me very, very well for the last few
Yeah.
years. I travel easy with it. The only thing I have to do is I always just throw this in my luggage. I don't carry it anymore. I used to try when I would try to do like the one
Mhm.
day trips. It's just, yeah, just I pop off the head, take it off, and then just put it in the luggage and then reassemble it when I get there. It does the job, but uh, I'm in need of something a little bit more portable.
For sure.
I'm gonna be that guy with
You're
all
due.
those
And
tripods.
and treat yourself. Happy holidays.
Yeah. No, no, no. I know, I know. And that's so. I'm gonna look it up real quick here. I'm gonna see if I can find one up, and it looks like B&H is running some sales, so maybe I can see if I can get something like
Nice.
that. But yeah,
I've been sharing Amazon links and stuff, but I definitely cross shop it with B&H.
For camera gear, I find because I have an account with them, I get the Paybu benefit where I don't pay the tax.
Hmm.
So I typically, if I'm going to buy camera gear, especially since it's usually a little bit more than usual, I pick up. Yeah, I always try to get it from B&H. Although the affiliate sometimes helps as well. Um, oh yeah, save the tax always. So, with that kind of going on, I think for me, the next week or so, I'm gonna try to get the Pixel 7 Pro review out on Monday. I'm saying that only because I have a few other things that I'm working on for the weekend. A couple of more, some sponsored videos coming up a little in the next week or so on
Yeah.
the channel, and it's going to
A
take up
lot of
my
companies trying
weekend.
to get some last minute stuff out there.
Yeah, like right before the holidays, and well, not holidays, right before Christmas. I was gonna say holidays already kind of started. Uh, but it's more about also kind of I just need to kind of get through the backlog. Like I said, I want to get you that ROG Phone 6. I need to put the video out on that as
Yeah.
well, and then hopefully start focusing on early 2023. See what we see at what I get a chance to hands on with at CES. I'm really starting to think more about trying to leverage more short style content
Hmm.
for the general day-to-day activity, and then focusing on maybe one good video every maybe once a week or maybe once every other week. I want to leverage the easier, smaller bite style content a little bit more as we're getting closer to getting fully monetized on shorts, and making it more of I feel like more sustainable, not just source of income, but also sustainable type of medium that allows us as
Yeah.
creators to support the channel as opposed to just generating content. I like to support the channel. The channel's yeah. And I'm also hoping to cross 170 before the end of the year. I'm like 300 subscribers away from that. I've been struggling along.
Oh, you.
I
I'm
know.
still like, I think I just broke 152. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah, no,
It doesn't really mean anything anymore
no.
having
For
like a
me, it
higher
was
subscriber
more.
count. So,
It's. I don't think it's a number thing. I think for me, it's more. Things have changed. The channel has been YouTube algorithm and so on have been going kind of different. Like the Realme, like a brand new phone that launched yesterday, but because I guess Realme doesn't I don't not it's not getting the views that it's supposed to get. I guess for some reason, or I just am so far down on the totem pole of the algorithm. I'm just going to step away from that. I'm just like, hey, let the big channels
I
do the longer
I
format.
bypass any of my stats immediately. So whenever I open something, it's like
I
I'm
wish there was a
clicking
way
as
to do that on
rapidly as
the
I
on
can to
Studio.
get directly to comments.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I have those bookmarked. That's usually how I do comments. I have a
Yeah.
bookmark on my Chrome
YouTube Studio
straight
comments
into
go.
comments. Yeah, straight comments, answer comments. Um, but what's going on with you? What are you working on, or are you able to share anything with us in the next week or so?
I'm shooting the MSI today,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
so
Oh, the
hopefully
creator
early
one. Yeah, that
next
we saw.
week. The Creator Z17 that I couldn't really show off last week because it was raining so hard. Um, so I did some performance testing on that, some gaming and some video rendering testing on that. It is just a beautiful monster of a system. I'm still going to be putting together another editorial on using the Surface as a tablet and
Hmm.
what that looks like against other sort of tablety solutions like
Oh,
an
that's right.
iPad
Yeah, yeah,
Pro.
yeah. I still need to work on that Surface Pro
Because
9 as well.
we're definitely thinking on the same brain with a lot of our sort of pros and cons on that Surface Pro 9. IQOO, I'm writing. I posted on the Patreon my LumaFusion benchmarking stats, but I still have the whole rest of the 8 Gen 2 to start talking about. So I'm going to be using the phone really heavy over the next couple days just because I mean, it's just so fun. It really is a good feeling kind of switching this over and getting a fresh start for 2023. And then some Pixel follow-ups, some other just sort of end of the year. I'm not going to do a best of the year, but I kind of want to do a more distinct like these were some of the things that I enjoyed and kind of surprised me. You know, like earbuds that I liked, headphones that I liked. The Unreal glasses rocked my socks. This year I got real heavy into e-bikes and big
Yeah,
crate
yeah.
batteries for your home. I feel like there was a ton of lifestyle tech outside of just what phone was the bestest. And that to me was really sort of the shining, the high points of 2022 was really more about accessories and lifestyle technology than it was specifically this phone was so amazing. I don't think we had that this year. I think we had a lot of really good phones, but I don't believe one phone really shined above all the others for any specific kind of usage or specific application. So I've got a lot. I've got a lot that I need to put together to kind of host some of those conversations, and I still want to try and do a holiday movie watch along on the
Yeah.
Patreon. Maybe end of next week we can all jam on a Christmas movie together or something like that.
I no, no, absolutely. Because I think if before you know it, it's going to be Christmas, man. I mean, time flies really quick.
Oh God.
Omar has like one more week of school, and that's it. And he's on his Christmas break, so there's that's kind of going on as well. We had a concert. He did a concert on Tuesday, and it was actually really nice. So he's progressing very well, also with music. He plays the trombone, so there's a lot of fun things to do. But I want to. The reason why I mentioned the show is because that telephoto lens on the 7 Pro really comes in a clutch when you're sitting far in the
Hmm.
back and you have to try to get your kid in the
Yeah,
front. But yeah,
it's
a
so good.
lot of nice things to cover, and I think again for me, it's probably for the end of the year at least, just show wise, Pixel 7 Pro, ROG Phone 6, Surface Pro 9 are going to be my main focus on those. Those are going to be my driving into kind of finishing it up, and then kind of closing the a little bit. The Video Micro is a very nice little surprise gift from from Rode, and did not disappoint. And I finally have the beanie that you have, which I don't know where did I put.
Oh yay! Oh, I don't have it in here.
Yeah, like
Dang
it's
it.
like
I think I have the box for it.
I
I
I
have the
have the
beanie
badge for it.
downstairs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
the Rode beanie. So that's another thing I need to finish. I don't even think I can get it in camera, but the Rode NT, what is it? The NT USB Plus. I've
Hold
been
on,
playing with this a
let me
little
put
bit.
you. If I put you on the main
It's
sense,
on my
oh,
arm,
it's
so
right
I
there.
can't
Yeah, it's
really
right there.
quite get it all the way in the shot. But I've got a little USB microphone that I still haven't been able to. That was another video I wanted to put together, was like making a podcasting rig out of your phone. And I
Oh,
still, like,
absolutely.
maybe that might end up in January, but like a primer on, really lean run and gun audio production. And I mean, like, you can go kind of 3 tiers, but do it all from your phone. I think
Oh,
it's actually a lot
absolutely.
better.
Running it. I mean, again, getting good audio from like a shotgun style small microphone, your phone, connecting it to into a streaming service and run your show directly from it. I'm hoping at some point or another, though, we'll get better support, at least on my Pixel for StreamYard. I was having some hard time getting audio to
Yep,
get recognized.
that's
We were
always the
dealing with
issue.
some of that last week. Why we switched back to just trying to getting it. I mean, obviously the Xperia ran it like a champ because
Right tool for the
Sony's.
right job.
That's I was about to just, yeah, exactly. It look yeah again. But with that kind of going on a little bit, I mean, thank you very much for everybody for hanging out with us. I know the show's showing up a little bit later, came up on a Friday morning, and let us know if you prefer this timeline more so than the typical that we do on Thursday nights and so on. We'll be back obviously next week for another show. Juan's going to be back, of course, on Monday with the SGGQA. This was again, I'm still running it with the Android Bay. It would make more sense for me to run it together than we'll have the same show tomorrow. It'll
Right.
just be by myself. I figured it's easier to have it with Juan. So with that being said, I want to say thank you very much for everybody for hanging out with us. For Brian, for Farhan, for Michael Corrigan's in there, joined us a little bit later on as well. Jimmy Fire Dragon, obviously, I think Rico Man. Hopefully, I'm saying that correctly.
Hmm.
I saw Dan joining us as well. Barry Johnson was with us earlier as well, and everybody kicking it with us on this beautiful Friday morning. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you have a good time and
Yeah,
stay safe. We're going to be wet. We're getting a storm system of 2022. But other than that, take care.
I'm
See
here
you
for it.
guys. I'm here for it as well. We'll take care, everybody, and we'll see you guys next week on another show. Bye bye for now.